And we back. Now, every single day, we get closer and closer to the beginning of the NBA regular season. Right now, I'm having a lot of fun watching preseason, but y'all know that there's nothing compared to the regular season. Now, every NBA team deserves at least a little bit of love. Like, we all have our favorite teams to watch, but in today's video, I'm going to give you a reason why you should watch every NBA team. First, the 76ers. I think Joel Embiid is about to have an MVP quality season. Not saying he is my pick for MVP, but I think he's going to have all the stats that he's going to be in the conversation for MVP this year, especially since he does it on both sides of the floor. The guy's one of the most unstoppable forces in the league, and he's only played like 100 total games, maybe? Like, the guy is just, he's a great NBA player. And it's easy to watch teams that are good. The 76ers are good, and they're young. So we're going to watch this team grow from year into year, and this year is going to be a good one for them. The Milwaukee Bucks have a brand new coach this year, Mike Budenholzer, and he, no joke, has been one of the better coaches over the past X many years. You know, in Atlanta, he was very good, except for the last year, of course, because that team was trash. But continuously, when he had Paul Millsap, Al Horford, Jeff Teague, that team was really solid. And now he's got another nice, solid team to take control of. Last year, they were just really in no man's land with their coaching situation. And now with a good coach, I think they're going to be a lot better. Plus, you got another year. Giannis at 23 years old. He's one of the best players in the league. Last year, they did not run a lot of pick and roll, which makes zero sense to me considering Giannis is such a force driving to the basket. Like, why is he not involved in pick and rolls? So I'm guessing Mike Budenholzer is going to do his best job, and they're going to be fun to watch. The Bulls. Listen, I can make an entire video on why you should watch the Bulls. Well, I'm going to keep it real short. They are a young and exciting team. I know they're not going to defend anything, but we got players like Zach Lavine who are super excited. Like, even just off the one preseason game, it got me really pumped for this upcoming season, because if he get a full head of steam, he's going to dunk that ball. And what we like highlights. We like plays like that, and that's what makes a team fun to watch. But also on the defensive side, we have one good defending player, which is trash to say because considering you got 15 players. But Chris Dunn is exciting defensively. And for a fan like me that loves to watch defense, it's cool to see a backcourt of one exciting offensive player and one exciting defensive player. Again, we're not defending anything except for Chris Dunn, but they're going to be fun to watch. The reason to watch the Cavs is to see what the era after LeBron looks like this time. The first time he left, things were terrible in Cleveland. But that kind of makes sense because their team was terrible when he went to Miami. But now, when you get rid of LeBron in Cleveland this time, their team is still okay. So how do they take on not having LeBron? Are they still a playoff quality team, or are they automatically a lottery team? I'm going to be watching just to see that. And of course, Kevin Love is now the focal point of their offense now. So I wonder if they're going to run things differently. He's going to be more than just a spot-up shooter like he has been over the past couple of years. They're one of the more intriguing teams in the league for sure. The Celtics, to see that starting five. I've watched the preseason games, and again, it's preseason, so you don't want to overreact, but that starting five just looks nice together. I'm super happy to see Gordon Hayward back on the court, man. When he signed in Boston the first time, I was super excited for their organization, for him, for going back to his former coach, Brad Stevens. But now we get to see them all together. The Clippers is to keep up with the bromance. Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic. Such a weird pairing, those two, but they get along so well. Their show is pretty solid, too. And, of course, I mean, I could give you some on-court stuff to watch, but the bromance enough in LA, the Clippers, is the reason I'm going to be watching. I don't know if they'll ever really be on the court together because Boban is not the type of guy to play big-time minutes. But still, you know, off-the-court stuff is super cool to keep up with. The Grizzlies could be a surprisingly solid team. Last year was terrible, but that's kind of the way they wanted it to be. But now they got Mike Conley back. They got Marc Gasol back. They signed Cal Anderson, and Jaren Jackson Jr. seems like he's going to come in and be a player that's going to be impactful his rookie year. So they can surprise a lot of teams. I don't know if I would have picked them to make the playoffs, but if they did, I would not be surprised. The Hawks. It is Trae Young and John Collins, without a doubt. We got to see in yesterday's preseason game, Trae Young threw it off the backboard and John Collins threw it down. Stuff like that is going to get Atlanta fans super excited for this upcoming season and for the future. This is Dwayne Wade's farewell tour. I don't know if I'm going to go to the game when they come here in Chicago, but I definitely want to see Dwayne Wade play another time, so maybe I'll buy tickets to the game. But not only is it Dwayne Wade's farewell tour, it's Udonis Haslem's farewell tour. Oh yeah, I know he hasn't really played over the past couple seasons, but Udon has been one of the more impactful players in their franchise history. And that's not even on court. That's more of being a locker room guy, being very good to the younger players and stuff. So it's going to suck to see two Heat legends go out in the same year. So maybe I'll buy the tickets. For the Hornets, it's Miles Bridges. That singular player is enough for me to watch the team because I didn't know much about him during the draft. Summer League, he had his moments, but he wasn't really great. But now in the preseason, he had that big game, and I'm thinking like, wow, can he be one of the rookies to have or be a steal of the draft? The Jazz, if you're a fan of defense, it's the perfect team, and you should be watching. It's one of the reasons why I watched them a bunch last year. Rudy Gobert, probably the best defensive center in the league. And then they have a lot of weird pieces that just work together defensively. Like Ricky Rubio has been a solid defender his entire career, but never in a million years would I expect him to have a game where he like clamped up on Russell Westbrook. Now I understand it was one game and Russell Westbrook had good games all the other games, but that was enough for me to be like, wow, Ricky Rubio really got the sauce on the defensive side of the ball. And of course, you got Donovan Mitchell, sophomore year. How does he fare? With now the focus is on him. You know, based on the rookie season, halfway through a team start to realize like, oh, this guy's really serious about scoring that ball. But now teams have had an entire season to really look at Donovan Mitchell and be like, okay, my job is to stop you. So I wonder how he really deals with that. The Kings have a lot of interesting young players. Buddy Hield is a guy I still believe Buddy Hield is going to be a very productive NBA player. I think he's 24, 25 years old. Some people have already lost hope, but I still believe in Buddy Hield. This may be the year for you, buddy. I'm hoping so. De'Aaron Fox, super exciting and interesting. Then you got Harry Giles, who a lot of people forgot about until we got to Summer League, me included. And in Summer League, he balls out. In the preseason game, he balls out a little bit. Don't be surprised if Harry Giles is just like a all NBA, all rookie second team guy or something in that realm, because again, his rookie year he sat out completely, so he's eligible to be a rookie this year. And then Marvin Bagley, like they have a nice young core. They have a lot of question marks, but the question marks make it interesting, and that's the reason I'll watch. The Knicks, solely to watch Kevin Knox. That's it, because as of right now, Kristaps is not there. Of course, when Kristaps comes back, I'm gonna be watching to watch the Unicorn, but as of right now, it's Kevin Knox. And maybe Mitchell Robinson after he got Markieff Morris ejected the other night, which is so weird to get ejected out of a preseason game. Not only a preseason game, the first preseason game of your team's season. Regardless, it's just a young talent there. The Lakers, do I have to say anything? It's LeBron James. Like, I'm excited to watch LeBron. When I watch the preseason game for them, it's going to be very weird to see them run. That secondary lineup doesn't have a center. You know, Kyle Kuzma was guarding Nikola Jokic, and they were like, Jokic's like, give me the ball. This dude is not strong enough to defend me. And I wonder how their rotation is going to look. They're still messing with it, obviously, with the preseason, but Zubac is not going to get backup center minutes. So I think their second unit legitimately is going to have like Kyle Kuzma running the 5 or something like that. And that's a big question mark for me. So again, question marks equal watchable. The reason to watch the Magic is to watch Aaron Gordon's breakout year. Simple. The Mavericks have one of the best young backcourts in the league, like up and coming. I want to say best, but as far as like a rookie sophomore combo, they got it. Dennis Smith Jr. is super electric, super intense when it comes to getting to the rim. And then based on the one game for Luka, I mean, the guy got some game. He is a little bit chunkier than I expected, you know, and I don't think it's like toned muscle. It looked like he came in, ate a bit. It's like, all right, welcome me to the league. But he had a pretty solid preseason game. Just watching Luka or anticipating what Luka's gonna bring is enough for me to be tuning into some games. And then, well, you got DeAndre Jordan now at the center. Like, they got a couple pieces. You're like, okay, maybe, probably not, but maybe. The Nets were just a super fun team for me to watch last year. They're not very good offensively. They're not very good defensively. But it's something about the team that has a charm that I cannot really put into words. And, of course, we want to see if D'Angelo Russell has that breakout year that he's hoping for. Because, again, his homies got paid. Karl-Anthony Towns got paid this offseason. Devin Booker got paid this offseason. 2 players drafted in the same draft class as him. He wants his bag, and maybe this is the season that really motivates him to try to get it. You should watch the Nuggets to see Jokic have his first all-star caliber season. I mean, you could have made an argument that he deserved to be an all-star last year, but, you know, it's only so many spots in the West. I think this is the year for sure. If he continues the type of play that we expect from him, he'll be an all-star. Everybody knows that he's one of the top centers in the league. It's just a matter of time for him to get an all-star nod. And if this team's completely healthy, I'm super high on them. I'm hoping that they could be like a top 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference. But again, they gotta stay healthy. Even right now, they're struggling with injuries in the preseason. Garrett Harris is injured. Isaiah Thomas is injured. Michael Porter Jr. is injured. If all those guys could come back and be healthy, this team is going to be dangerous for whoever they go against. The Pacers, it's just to watch Victor Oladipo. It's very, very simple. He's one of the few guys in the league that brings it 100% on both sides of the floor. Very rarely do I see Victor Oladipo take plays off. I mean, it would be easy for a guy that carries his offensive load to take a couple plays off defensively, but that's not Victor Oladipo. I don't know how he has the energy to be playing defense on the other team's best player and also dropping 25. I don't understand it, but it's super fun to watch. I'm going to watch the Pelicans to see if these new signings of Elfrid Payton and the Julius Randle really works well with Anthony Davis, because this might be the last season of Anthony Davis in New Orleans. I know Pelicans fans don't like to hear that, but it's 100% true. Throughout his entire career, they have failed to build a team around him that has been successful. And, well, if it doesn't work this year, maybe he calls up Rich Paul, who's his new agent now, and he's like, listen, I want out. So if you were a Pelicans fan, you better really hope this works out in hopes that he likes that city and want to resign, because right now I'm not too sure. You should watch the Pistons to watch Drummond take threes. Apparently, Dwayne Casey gave him a yellow light. It's not really a green light. It's not like he's going to be coming down court pulling threes. But the way teams defend him, they obviously just sink back to the paint because it's Andre Drummond, who's guarding him at the 3. But now Dwayne Casey gave him a yellow light. It's like, okay, if they guarding you or not guarding you at all, you can shoot them sometimes. Don't expect Drummond to be hitting 4 threes a game. But if he can make 1 3 a game, that is enough for me to be like, yo, it's a good season. The reason I'm watching the Raptors is to see the small things that's going on in Kawhi Leonard's life. Like, based on that first preseason game, there was a clip of everybody on the bench laughing and having a good time, and at the end of the bench is Kawhi Leonard keeping to himself. That's not a good sign. They better call up their players and like, yo, incorporate Kawhi into y'all friend circle, because if he leaves, we are in trouble. So I'm gonna be watching stuff like that. That's kind of lame. Something that only an NBA nerd would do, looking at Kawhi on the bench and stuff. But still, that's enough for me to be watching. And of course, I mean, a full season of Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi. If you compare it to 2 years ago, he's an MVP candidate. We get that again. Toronto is no longer LeBronto. It's somebody give it a name that has to do with Kawhi. I mean, a claw, and then the Raptors logo is like a dinosaur claw. I don't really know. Well, the Rockets are just naturally a fun team to watch, especially if Chris Paul and James Harden are both feeling 100% and playing to their fullest potential. I mean, the biggest thing is to see what Melo does. Like, right, that's what we all care about, to see how Carmelo Anthony performs in his new role on his new team. DeMar DeRozan has a lot to prove. Over the past couple years, he's been pretty disrespected when it comes to the national media, and most of that may be because he's in Toronto, and a lot of the United States media companies may not really care about the Raptors like that. But he's in the States, and even now, publications are ranking him as like the 30th best player in the league. That's kind of disrespectful for what DeMar DeRozan has done. So maybe this is the year that he's like, you know what? I got to prove to them that I'm a top whatever player in the league. And now he's in a system where it may benefit him a little bit more. I'm not too sure. That question mark is enough for me to watch. The Suns is to watch D-Book and DeAndre Ayton. The Thunder are an improved team from last year, and now we got year 2 of Russell Westbrook and Paul George. If you take a look at the track record, when stars team up, the first year is usually not that great. Talk about the Miami Heat days, or even the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron went back. Like, the first year is kind of a gelling period. You've never played with this player before. You got 82 games to figure it out. But now they have an entire season under their belt, and this is the year that I project them to be better. Like, last year was a bit of disappointment considering what they had. This is a year that I feel like they won't disappoint us. And now, especially since they have Dennis Schroeder, they have Nerlens Noel as a backup center, they'll be way more deep, and that'll take some of the load off of Russell Westbrook's back. Right now, it's kind of hard to figure out what to be looking forward to with the Timberwolves. I mean, obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns is a super fun player to watch, but with Jimmy Butler still being on the roster and we don't know what he's going to get traded for or when he's going to get traded, it's hard for me to pick something to really look forward to. I mean, if they make a big deal, then I'm looking forward to that player in that New Jersey. But if I had to pick based on their roster, I'm going to be watching Derrick Rose and to see if Wiggins performs better without Jimmy Butler there. The Blazers just have a super fun backcourt. Again, I know I've said over the past couple seasons that one of them needs to get traded just because their team is kind of a misfit. Other than those two, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard are great together, but the rest of the roster is kind of mediocre. So I think that one of them needs to get traded. But when they're together, they're super fun to watch. With the Warriors, I mean, you know why. They're a good team, fun team. I ain't got to go much more in depth. And lastly, the Wizards. They made a couple signings / trades this offseason that I really don't know how it's going to play out. Austin Rivers had a solid year last year, but even he's been very inconsistent. Jeff Green is one of the most inconsistent players ever. And then Dwight Howard, y'all know the Dwight Howard story. So those 3 players coming into a locker room that was already like, I don't know what's going to happen. But guess who's going to be tuning in to see? And that's the reason why I'm going to be watching all 30 NBA teams. In the comment section below, let me know why you're watching a team that maybe not a lot of people are going to be tuning into. Also, leave a like on the video. Again, it helps the creator grow their platform even more when you leave a like. So if you want to help grow Team No Overtime, leave a like, leave a comment. Really appreciate that. Thank y'all so much. Peace.